Hello? Hello, this is PC Peru. We're ready to start.
Hi, PC Peru. This is us three. We've been here and we're waiting. I think there's a few people on the line. And I can also see the video.
Perfect. Okay, we're ready to start.
So take it away.
Okay, so we'll begin by introducing ourselves. My name is Enrique Liñán. I am the training manager here at PC Peru.
I am Dr. Suni. I am one of the PCMOs.
I'm Jamie Brancato. I'm the Director of Programming and Training.
Hola, soy Miriam, the Master Trainer.
Hi, this is Jorge Delgado. I am the Program Manager of the Youth Program.
Hi, I'm Giovanna. I'm the Program and Training Assistant of the Youth Program.
Yes. So as you have seen in the email agenda, we're gonna start with Jamie Brancato, Director of Programming and Training. She's gonna give you an introduction to our host.
Okay, so we're going to share a lot of information with you in this next hour. Please listen along. We'll be taking notes, and at the end, there'll be time for question and answers. I'm going to start off with just a little bit of an introduction about Peace Corps service and some important messages, and then I'll pass it to my colleagues to share more, specifically about your work and your service experience. But before we begin, you're 1 week away from joining the Peace Corps, and it's always important at this time to think about service and commitment. And it always reminds me of the old tagline that Peace Corps used to use, which is the toughest job you'll ever love. And it truly is that. It's not so much about the physical challenges you may experience in service, but much more about the personal, introspective learning experience that you will go through over the next 2 years. What we need from you as you are considering now your last couple weeks at home is a true commitment to the 27 months of service here in Peru. Sometimes we hear that volunteers will try it out, they'll come, see what it's like, but always have in the back of their minds that maybe they can just go home if they're not sure yet about their commitment. What we'd like to ask from you right now is that you make those considerations, and when you get on that plane to come here, that you're truly committed to your service for the full 2 years. Peace Corps is very much a personal journey, a personal experience. It is very challenging. And it's not just about you. It's about the communities that we serve and why we're here. Okay, so please take that time right now to really make those considerations. And you've already taken the biggest step, which is applying. So we're really looking forward to seeing you here in a couple weeks. As you're making some of these considerations, we know there are many important factors in your life. You might have personal relationships that you're leaving behind. You have family that you're leaving behind. Take that into consideration and make sure that you manage your own expectations and that of your family and partners and friends back home as well before you leave the United States to come here to Peru. These days, there's so many ways to stay in contact with social media. Peru is geographically close to the United States, so you will absolutely have that opportunity to connect with those that are important to you. But now, as you're about to depart, really have those important conversations, okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit of history about our program here in Peru that you can find online, so none of this information is probably new to you. But Peace Corps has a long history here in Peru. We started in 1962. We had a very strong program until 1975. We had about 2,500, 2,600 volunteers served during that period of time. And back then we focused on education, infrastructure, small business, agriculture, many sector areas. In 1975, we left because of the transition to military government at that time, and we were invited back in 2002 by then President Toledo. I actually was one of the volunteers in the first group that came here to serve in 2002, and so I'm really excited to be back here in Peru and working with Peace Corps. So, over those years, I wanted to share a little bit about our projects that we have here, because although you are a part of the youth program, we have a long history of project interventions and programs in Peru that really have helped towards development. So when we started in 2002, we started out with community health and small business development. In 2004, that's when we opened our youth development project, the one that you're coming here to support. 2005, we opened an environment sector, which actually as of this year, 12 years later, has closed. But we still work in environment through what we call our response program, which is a short-term higher impact opportunity for volunteer service. In 2007, we opened our water, sanitation, and hygiene project. And now, currently, when you arrive, we have 4 sectors, which is community health, youth and development, wash, sanitation, and hygiene, and now what we call community economic development. It used to be small business development, but it's changed its name. So Peace Corps here in Peru, we work in 8 of the 24 administrative departments that you'll see on a map. Jorge will explain to you more where the youth project will be, but you work in 6 of those 8 regions, okay? As we look at kind of transitioning topics a little bit, we were just talking about the history of our program, our projects. I wanted to share a little bit about some cultural points for you to consider before you make that transition here when we see you in country in a couple of weeks. So we know that volunteer service is difficult, it's exciting, it's challenging in so many ways through which you will grow. And there are a couple of areas that it's helpful to think about now before you get here on the ground. So one of the areas that I think is the most exciting part of living in another country is food and culture. Peru is just blessed with just such a rich cuisine that rivals many countries in this world, actually. It's world-renowned. And the communities that you live in, however, will probably have more basic diet. And so we've shared this information in some of the documentation I'm sure that you've received. But just get yourself mentally ready for that your diet will be carbohydrate heavy. You might not be what you're used to. But we talk to you in training about how to communicate your needs to your host family and how to stay healthy with the new diet and the experience we'll be going through. So with that, and I know Dr. Suni will be saying this to you, is that the hygiene adaptation, getting used to how your food is prepared, how clean the cooking utensils are, is going to be a little bit of an adaptation if you haven't lived abroad before, but it's something that you'll easily get used to. But with that, you might get a little bit sick in the beginning. It's very common in training as your body's just adjusting to all the food and the new kind of elements that you're experiencing here in Peru. But it'll be okay. Everybody gets sick and everybody gets better, okay? And we'll talk to you about some of the tips to staying healthy in service. Weather, so another fun area. So Peru is such a diverse country in so many ways, but it's very much known for its 3 distinct regions. We have the desert coast, we have the beautiful Andes Mountains, and then we have the jungle. And so with that, there's just a microclimate diversity in this country, which lends to just beautiful flora, fauna, and scenery that you'll experience while you're living here. When it comes to site placement, please know that there are many factors that come into play to how we place you in your communities, and so we may or may not be able to take in some of those climate preferences that you may have. So our advice is always pack for really hot and cold weather so that you're prepared for any of those. And when you take vacation, you're going to want to be able to have different kinds of clothing that you can bring with you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of cultural diversity and maybe some cultural norms, again, to prepare yourself as you're about to arrive here in country. One thing about Peru is, we often see on TV just pictures of the most visited places, like Machu Picchu and some of the beautiful geographic destinations that people come to see. But please know that Peru is so much more than that. It's culturally diverse in so many ways. Yes, it's good.
Hello?
Can you still hear us?
Hello?
There's some students.
Yeah. Stilly?
The number to call is 1-800-754-061. And reference number is 757.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that might have ended. Sorry about that. Not sure. Maybe someone's phone called a funny number.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
All right. I'll finish on my last point here to save time for my colleagues. But I was just sharing about the just beautiful, diverse culture of Peru and its it's history, full of history that has really modern influences even today that you will see. It's not homogeneous by any means, and you will really experience and live through a lot of this cultural diversity here in the country. And we'll also, train to a lot of these topics when you get here. And one last topic just to keep in mind, and especially as youth volunteers, is understanding a little bit about discipline and violence that may present itself during your service experience. And corporal punishment in schools is common. You may see this, you may experience this. It's not like the laws that we have in the United States. You also know that, and see this in the statistics about the country, that, interfamily violence, so whether it's domestic violence with children or with between spouses, is also something that we're struggling with here as a society. And so you may be presented with this, you may witness this during your service, and we know it's very difficult to, and it's a topic that we'll address when you come to country during training, and so that you understand your role in it and how to be a community member when faced with some of these situations. I don't necessarily want to end on that point, but I want to say thank you for taking time to listen to my part here. My colleagues have a lot more to share with you, and we're really looking forward to seeing you soon.
Hi. So what I wanted to remind you is that I know that you were told this, but I want to emphasize on that, because it's really, really important that you need to bring at least 3 months of whatever prescription you are taking. Normally we do this because some of the medication that you are taking is not available here in country. So be sure to pack 3 months of the medication that you are taking. And here, as soon as you arrive, we are going to discuss about if it's necessary to change to something that we have available here. Okay. Also remember, and I know that at the moment that you submit your papers, you submit all the information about your vaccines. But if by any chance you are receiving in this time any shot, we need the paper proof of that, okay? Because if by any chance we don't have a proof that you received a shot, we will need to give you that shot again, okay? So if by any chance, I repeat, you are receiving a shot in this time, after you submit all your documents to Peace Corps, bring that documentation, so we don't need to give you again that shot, okay? And just to agree with Jamie, it's going to be maybe at the beginning a little bit challenging, but with weeks you are going to start feeling better, mostly from the eating point of view. But we have a session that we call diarrhea. So in that first session, you are going to learn all about this amazing world of having diarrhea and how to prevent that. We are going to teach you how to prevent that. And if you have any question, more than willing to help you with them.
Thank you, Dr. Sun. Now, Jorge and Giovanna will tell you a little bit more about the project framework and the regions where you will be working.
Okay, hello everybody, this is Jorge Delgado. We are part of the youth team, Giovanna and me, so we're going to explain some general points that we consider important at this point. The first thing I would like to mention is that we've been organizing our youth program according to what is happening in the country. So we did a baseline study and we know what are the main problems we have in Peru with youth. So one of the main problems we identified according to our baseline study is that Peruvian youth, they have problems in access to education, and they have problems also with the economic aspect, because in some cases they don't have money, or in other cases they don't know what to do with the money they have. So based on these main problems we identified, we decided to create our framework that is based on this logic that in a long-term intervention, we would like to improve this situation. So we would like to improve the access to education, and we would like also to improve the status, the economic status of the youth Peruvian people. An important aspect also to mention is how we want to do it? We want to do it through a leadership program. And this leadership program, it's organized into main goals. The first goal is to prepare these kids for the world of work, because we consider it important that they should be prepared in life skills, they should be prepared in employability, and they should be prepared in saving culture. These elements are very important to empower the kids. So once we have the kids empowered, we go to the second goal. And our second goal is going to be to allow these kids to participate in important aspects in the community, because they have already the training. They can assume the possibility to create projects for the benefit of the community. So these projects are going to be youth-led projects. And to complement the second goal, we include also the partners. So we have a training process for partners in the community, and we include also the parents. So it's very important for us to have the parents and the partners involved, because they are going to help us to achieve our goals. So we have a very clear long-term intervention program, and each of you who are coming in this group will be part of this process. So you could be the first generation in one community, or you could be the second generation, because we already have some volunteers working there. It's very important to mention as well that we are working in 5 regions at this point. Most of our sites for youth development are going to be concentrated in the highlands, and we have just a few sites in the coast of Peru. It's very important also to understand that we have very clear commitments with our partners. So based on that, I would like to ask from all of you who are coming in Peru 30 to really think about the commitment we expect from volunteers, because we have a serious process of site development where we explain our partners, our main authorities, the long-term intervention. So we really expect that all of you will do a commitment for the 2-year service, because this is really important for us to really complete the idea that we have for the youth program in 6-year plan. So it's something very important for you to remember. And now I would like to invite Giovanna to talk to you about the training aspect that we consider important as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Giovanna. I'm going to say, what is that? My job title again, because I didn't say it right the first time. I'm sorry. It's Program and Training Specialist. So yeah, like one of the roles of my job is to support the work of the program. But right now, I'm going to talk to you about training, especially because it's these weeks that you're coming here. That's when training is going to happen, the main part of your training, which is PST, pre-service training. Basically, our training is designed to develop skills that are related to designing and facilitating training, facilitation skills, adaptation skills as well. So the training is going to give you an opportunity to explore what are going to be the areas of work that you are going to be contributing to, and also what is the best way to find a strategy for you to work with socios. So the main point of PST is to empower you with the skills necessary for you to go to the community, explore the community, find their interests and needs, and also be the tool that you were going to use to facilitate development, sustainable development in your communities. Like Jorge said, we have 2 goals in the program, but basically PST and the first training that you're going to receive is going to be concentrating what it is your goal 1, which is working in life skills and the world of work. That's basically what's going to be our concentration in PST, and that's the topics that we're going to use to develop skills of facilitation. We also work very closely with what it is the Department of Education of the country, and it's called Mineru. But the Department of Education is what is going to guide us, or what are the topics that you're going to be viewing during these months, and also what kind of skills you're going to need. And I'm not only talking about technical skills, but also the Spanish skills that you're going to need to communicate the session plan, and also to co-facilitate with a teacher in this case. Also, we work with what it is Centros de Salud Health Post. So we also have this technical support, and there's a lot of topics that are related to health that you don't need to be a specialist, but you need to help facilitate the knowledge with somebody else, which is going to be the person that is going to have the knowledge or the technical knowledge in this case. Another area of work that is going to be part also of what it is this training is going to be the municipalidad, and it's basically the way of how your sites are going to be organized, right? The authorities on that area, we work with them as well. So explaining to you the whole time where we're going to be together in this training is going to be really long, but I just want to say that we are emphasizing your skills in facilitation and giving you all the opportunities for you to develop these skills in Spanish as well. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jorge and Giovanna. Now, Miriam, our master trainer, will tell you about the trainee assessment process.
Okay, guys. Hola de nuevo. My name is Miriam, the master trainer. I'm gonna explain about the trainee assessment portfolio, which is basically how we support you and give feedback to you, and how we assess your performance during pre-service training. You are responsible of achieving the goals that have been decided for you. We work with competencies. So the idea is that you can achieve those competencies, but as the staff, we will be there to support you. So the trainee assessment portfolio is actually a booklet with all the assessment tools we will use. You have different techniques and methods because we are considering different learning styles. So we want you to practice, we want you to succeed. If there is something you need to practice again, to do it better, there will be several opportunities to do so. Within this trainee assessment portfolio, we will be having one-on-one interviews with you. Also, we will be having written quizzes, online work, we will be having observations. As Giovanna mentioned, you will be co-facilitating sessions at schools. Some of them will be evaluated as well. And we have some criteria, and also we use rubrics. And the good thing on this is that you are not alone, even though it's an intense 12-week process, you have our support. But it is essential for you to realize that you will be taking responsibility for achieving the competencies. And actually, competencies are the set of knowledge, skills, and attitudes we think you need in order to be a volunteer, a peaceful volunteer in Peru. We will be having a session during first week of PST about this. You will be receiving a copy of the TAP, the Trainee Assessment Portfolio. So there is more time to review, more time to talk about that. But just consider this. You will be going through a monitoring and evaluation process, but the idea is that you will be supported, and this will be part of the qualification criteria. Not the only qualification criteria to be a volunteer, but part of it. So I think that's it. Just a brief summary.
Right. Thank you, Miriam. So yeah, a lot of the information that has been shared with you was included in the bridge to PST, and that's what I will cover right now. As a couple of things that you need to remember, keep in mind before you travel. I know that some of you have been asking questions in the Facebook group about sleeping bags. You can buy sleeping bags here. There are like a lot of different models. You can find them as cheap as $10 to like $50 or $60. So you can find all different kinds here in Lima while you're here. So don't worry about bringing one. You're very specific about one that you like, then you can bring it if you have space. But you can find sleeping bags here in Peru. Now, clothing suggestions, unpacking, and dress. We send you a guide that's called Dress for Success. It was put together by a group of volunteers, so please take a look at that document. That will give you an idea of what to pack and what to bring. But please do bring formal clothes because you will be doing facilitations. You will go to schools, and when you go to schools, you are expected to wear business casual clothes, and then also formal clothes for ceremonies that we will have here at Post. So please do bring some formal clothes or semi-formal clothes. Also, we send you a template for you to complete your resumes. We want to have a copy of your resumes in Spanish. So we send you the templates. We also send you models and samples from previous volunteers. So please take a look at that. It's just a one-pager that you will have to complete. So take some time to complete that in Spanish, and then because we will be using that during the first week of pre-service training. Bring it with you on a flash drive, because we will use the CD during one of our sessions in week 1 of pre-service training. Another thing that you need to complete is your aspiration statement. I know that a lot of you have uploaded that to the system, but there's still some people that haven't done that. So please upload that to the system. Wow. Okay, so another thing you should do before you come to post is read the Bridge to Pre-Service Training. Marcela Trask, Marcela, our country desk officer, she has sent you the document, the Bridge to Pre-Service Training. So please read that document. And the last thing I wanted to mention, yeah. So as bringing gifts for your host families. You will be staying here with host families during your first 3 months in the area of Chaclacayo, where our training center is located. You live with those families for 3 months, and then you will also be assigned to a host family after you serve in the regions where you will be serving. So make sure to bring some small gifts for your host family. Some examples of gifts that you can give your host families are souvenirs from the city or state where you're from. You can bring postcards, you can bring chocolate. Host families love chocolate from the US. Keychains, magnets for the fridge. Those are like samples of small gifts that you can bring to your host families, and they will love them. I mean, just the fact that you're bringing something for them, that will definitely warm their hearts. So if you bring that and then you speak Spanish to them while you give it to them, you'll make them super happy. So keep that in mind. You can also ask in the Facebook group for ideas of what to bring to host families, and I'm sure currently serving volunteers will have a lot more ideas for that. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is airport arrival. I'm sure you all are prepared, getting ready for your trip to Peru. A lot of you have submitted your videos on what you're packing. So next week on August 17th, you will be arriving here in Lima at Jorge Chavez Airport. We have requested access to go and meet you at the gate before you go through migrations. So I will be there, and also our country director, Palmer, we both will be there waiting for you and giving you instructions on what to do. Hello? Oh, that's it. Okay, so, and then right after that, we'll give you all the instructions on what to do. We'll pick you up from the airport, we'll take you to our the place where you will be staying, and then we'll start our orientation retreat right after that. All of that information is included in the Bridge to Pre-Service Training, so please read that so that you can have a better idea of what's going to happen once you arrive here at post. Okay, and then now, okay, Esteli? Esteli, are you there? Esteli?
Sí, porque los chicos no están ahí.
Okay, so now we'll be taking some questions from you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to just write them, send them to us, or like ask them through the line.
Are you there?
Oh no.
Hi everyone, not sure if you can hear them on
Yes.
YouTube, but PC Peru would like to know if you have any questions. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, Stella, can you hear us?
We hear her, but she can't hear us.
PC Peru, I can hear you through YouTube, but I cannot hear you on the conference call line.
She has mute.
No. Okay. So yeah, we'll be taking questions. We can. I mean, we're here still online on YouTube. So yes, if anyone has any questions, we'll be happy to answer them for you. Okay. So it seems that there's no
And if
questions.
anybody on the conference call line would like to ask a question, also you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, this is Faith. So, you guys mentioned that new volunteers are mostly in the highlands. Can you specify what part of the highlands that we will be placed in potentially?
Yeah, description.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you for the question. When we say highlands, we talk about places here in Peru in the mountains, high mountains. Usually the climate in these places is cold and it's very dry as well in most of the cases. Yeah, it's very dry and it's very cold. So our big suggestion is like bring layers, right? Because that's gonna be very helpful here. Yeah, I would say it's basically the highlands, and maybe you can ask to the doctors as well if you have some problems with the altitude, because here in Peru, the highlands are above 3,000 meters, most of them, right?
Most of the sites.
Most of the sites are about 3,000 meters above the sea level.
Yeah.
So just consider that. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hello?
Yes. Another question?
Yes, go ahead and ask your question.
Great. I was wondering if we could get a summary of what was meant by different hygiene standards for food preparation.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to talk about that at PST during the first weeks.
But we can give you some examples of that, right? So, for example, when you go to you visit host families during field-based training, you'll have your first experience of visiting and observing how host families live in the highlands. For example, my family's from the highlands. Like, I grew up watching my grandma cooking, and while she was cooking and cutting the food, she would turn around, and then the dog was around, and she would feed the dog from the same hand, and then keep cooking the chicken or whatever she was doing. You know, it was totally normal for me. It was never surprising for me. I just thought that's the way it was done. You know, but I have the experience of living in the States, for example. I know hygiene standards are very different from that, right? Like you wouldn't see a person doing that very often. It's not the common thing to do, but in the highlands it is very common. Kitchens, a lot of times there are animals around the kitchen. You will see chickens, guinea pigs. Like, yeah, my grandma used to raise guinea pigs around the kitchen, and all the guinea pigs were like running around the kitchen, you know, and then you would feed them as you're cooking or like as you're eating, and there is not like the process of, oh, I just fed the dog, now I have to wash my hands and keep cooking, you know. It will just be natural to do those kind of things. So that's like one example of how hygiene standards are very different here in Peru than in the United States.
I also want to add that there are going to be things that we are going to touch from different points of view, right? Like from the training point of view, those are the things that you may learn. Also from the medical point of view, we are going to kind of give you an idea how we cook in Peru, right? Like there are certain things that are going to be different. So I think during PhD, I mean, your whole 2 years, you're going to learn that. So I don't know if our answer helps you at this moment.
Okay, any other questions?
No, I appreciate the candid response. That was perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. No more questions? Again, if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact Marcela Trask, our desk officer.
Any other questions from anyone on the conference call line?
Yes, just one more question. They mentioned something about us it's based on our language level. Can you clarify about that? Are we going to be graded depending on how fluent we are?
Well, yeah. The language level, as you may know, in intermediate is the one that you have to reach in order to swear in after PhD. But the placement or the assignment of the sites where you are going to be working on are not necessarily related to your language abilities. It's more related to your technical abilities, to your facilitation abilities, or your background experience, right? Like if the site is in need of work with youth, specifically with youth, working in orphans, for example, is just an example, and you have experience on that, maybe that will be a place where it will be more suitable for you, for your service. So that's more related to a technical aspect than to the language aspect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right then, so since there's no more questions, so we want to thank you for joining us and for watching. And then we're really excited to meet you next week and to start working with you.
And then I just had a question about medications. We're supposed to be taking the malaria pills, correct? So do we need a 3-month supply of that as well?
That's a really good question. At this moment, we don't have volunteers taking prophylaxis for malaria. You know, malaria, we don't have malaria in the highlands, and the places that you are going to be in the coast, malaria is not going to be a problem. So the only reason why a Peru volunteer is going to be taking malaria prophylaxis is if you go to the jungle. And that is on vacations, right? That normally you are not going to be there. So don't worry about malaria, because we have a whole 2-hour session that we talk about common diseases in Peru, and we are going to discuss about malaria. But don't worry about bringing malaria medication, malaria prophylaxis, because unless you go on vacations to the jungle here, you will not need to use that. I have to add that, yeah, only if you are on vacations, yeah. That's what we're last thing.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say before we close?
Okay, just to finish, I would like to say thank you so much for taking the time for this call, because this is very important for us in terms of communication, and we would like you to make the proper decision before coming to Peru, because this is a very important process. 2 years in Peru, definitely it's going to be a life-changing process for you. So thank you for taking this time. Sí.
Yeah. Okay,
Sign off.
all right,
All
thank,
right, well, if that's everything, apologies for the technical difficulties. Thank you, PC Peru. We've been able to see you and hear you perfectly clearly on YouTube. I know there was some difficulties with the conference call, but thanks very much. And invitees who are on the call, thank you for joining us.
all right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.